And we are live. It's the Dave K Show. I'm David K. Gyro, and with me on this beautiful Sunday afternoon, I have my beautiful co-host, Miss Datha B. How you doing?
Hey, Dave.
Well, first of all, I like your dress that you have on. Beautiful color. What do you have in front of you right here, Datha?
Look, y'all, I'm color coordinated with my boo.
I love it. This is her inspiration for greatness. Like when we passed Joe Rogan on our podcast, and we start getting those million hits per show, you're going to see Datha riding around in this Lamborghini, but this is going to have like colors that you can change.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get the one with the remote that you can change the colors. If that's real. If it's not real, I'm going to make it real. This is hot, people. This right here, I'm telling you, if it fit in a bed, it would be sleeping with me every night.
Yes, it would. I
love that car.
I think you're right on that.
That is hot.
That is awesome. So how you been doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I've been doing great. Better than ever. Like I always say, you're looking really, really good. I know you had a little brief period of time where you're kind of sick, you know. And
I still ain't shook that crap.
Really?
It's not as bad as it was, but like my throat and stuff, it ain't going away.
Right. Well, as we say, you know, fall is coming, so that's whenever a lot of people start getting a little bit sicker and everything.
And the flu is already going around.
Yes, it is. Take care of yourself. Get your vitamin D. Get your sunlight.
Yeah.
That's right. Electronic fluids.
Just don't have a heat stroke. Get in the sunlight because it's hot. Dave, I found a snake skin on my pond yesterday.
Right. I saw the pictures. I wish we could throw it up on the screen, but right.
Dave, that thing is bigger than me. I exaggerate. Okay, that's a little big fish story, but it's about 4 or 5 feet.
Snake skin or the snake?
Snake skin? Okay. I don't want to see the snake.
So now we have a snake roaming around your house.
Exactly. Where is it at? And I was going to get in my flower beds, and now I'm sitting here second guessing that. Like, I don't think I want to mess with that because I don't care what kind of. It's obviously it's not Kingsley, the king snake that I named, because he was a little bitty baby, and this is like massive.
Right.
I can't get eaten by a snake.
So your kids are just off camera. Watch when you use the bathroom. Watch out.
In the toilets, Dave?
Yes, right. They come through the toilets.
we don't have a septic tank.
They come through the toilets. Watch out. Be careful.
I already checked my toilets before I go. The dog goes in there with me too.
Right, yeah.
She has to make sure I'm totally safe before I go
Your
anywhere.
dog will start barking. I think you're protected on that. That sounds great.
I don't know. Well, yeah, because look at what she does with frogs.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the world of Datha Bure, y'all. I mean,
I could be a reality show.
Our website, davekshow.com, is going to be up and running in about another week. If you want to find out these and more interesting little tidbits about Datha Bure, check the website out, davekshow.com.
We need to have a camera on me at all times right now until I find that stupid snake, because I have a funny feeling that when that thing decides to show itself, you're going to be there because paramedics are going to have to come get me.
Right.
It's going to be bad.
That is hilarious. Okay, so let's talk about some upcoming events before we get to our very special guest today. So first of all, we're going to have our 50th podcast. This is actually our 40th episode of the Dave K Show already. 40 episodes. We started early this year with 40 episodes. Try to do one show every weekend. We got to kind of ramp it up a little bit toward the end of the year. We're going to have a very special event coming up November the 30th. Yep. The Dave K Show's Christmas party / 40th podcast. So we're going to have some special
50th.
guests. 50th podcast. 50th, right. So we're going to have some special guests coming up and some musical guests, maybe some comedians. It's going to be a lot of fun. Networking event to come network with some friends.
Yep.
Check the Dave K Show Facebook page. There's an Eventbrite set up on there where you can buy some tickets to get in there. All of our past guests get in free of charge and their families.
Yep.
Red carpet, paparazzi, limousine rides. We're going to have Gene Frankress taking pictures on a step and repeat.
Bring your sunglasses.
Yes, it's going to be absolutely fun. Dave and I are going to be here to take some pictures and autographs if you want, but probably not.
Oh, why you say that? People might really look. Let me tell y'all something. You get the pictures and the autographs now. In about 10 years, when we're like big, hot, and popular, you're gonna have some money.
Exactly right.
Think of the baseball cards.
That's true.
It's true. Who'd have thought Babe Ruth would be what he is? He's not here now, but
that's exactly right.
History. Right. He's pretty cool.
So we designed a special little poster that's going up starting this weekend. Show my little poster right here, and
our poster?
It's the Dave K Show, and you're going to see this in racks, Sandbar, the gas stations, any business that's going to let us. We got a bunch of them in the back. We're going to go out today and start putting them out there, just to remind people, watch the Dave K Show from interesting guests.
Or check it out.
Check
Comments.
it out. What does it say? What is our little tag at the bottom down here?
Representing Louisiana business, film, and music talent, music news, call-ins, and opinions and comments.
Yes.
We like comments. Send any ideas. If y'all have good ideas, let us know. We like ideas.
We are all about representing Louisiana talent, like it says right there. If you're from Louisiana, born and raised here, bred Louisiana, you play music, you're a musician, a filmmaker, a cook, a chef. I even got some people in the works right now trying to get the Carols from Hot Tales to come out here and do a cooking segment. Now, would you be interested in doing a cooking segment with them?
Oh, yeah. That would be fun. I need to learn a few
Maybe we could use your kitchen, maybe.
Oh, yeah. As long as we don't burn it down. But I need a new kitchen.
If they're cooking, we're not going to burn it down. We're good. So we'll be looking for a little cooking segment. I think probably we'll do maybe 4 shows at one time in your kitchen.
Oh, cool.
And that'll take care of all the episodes for the month.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So
and just for a record, if there's somebody that's an actor or an actress, like Grammy winning, Emmy women, whatever you call it, and they want to be on the show, we totally take out of state.
Yes, we do. We are trying to get a very special guest in the show at this time.
Stop it.
We talked about it last show, Gordon McKernan.
Oh, yeah, Gordon with my white Lambo. He's got to drive that out here, though.
Yes, Gordon McKernan. We talked
sit in one of them
we talked about the marketing genius of Gordon McKernan. What a marketing genius. You either hate him or you love him. He's everywhere. He's on billboards everywhere.
Yeah, now that you say that, that's all I friggin' see now is Gordon billboards.
That's right.
Wasn't paying attention.
They're everywhere.
They are.
When I used to work at Channel 2, I was talking to my the marketing director. He's Mr. Smith. He's originally from New Roads. And I'm going like, can you believe what I saw today? He goes like, Dave, what did you see today? Of course, I saw tons of billboards of Gordon McKernan, but I saw one of them. There were two stacked on top of each other. The bottom one was upside down. I'm going like, what a waste of money. You know what he told me? Made you look, didn't it? It made me look.
It made you look.
He did his job. So he's a genius. So I want to kind of pick Gordon McKernan's brain if we can get him on here. I know he's a busy man, but that's really
I'd
cool.
like him to bring the flag to see how big it really is.
That's a huge flag.
It's a huge flag.
If he could bring a 1 star, it would probably cover this whole building.
That's cool.
Yes.
I got to see that flag.
Right. Yeah, Gordon McKernan. Let's try to get him on the show. It's going to be really, really cool. One thing is, Gordon McKernan signs are everywhere, but where? Point P.
Well,
have you seen a Gordon
that's
McKernan
because
sign?
we're taking all the signs, Dave.
Right. If we can have a sign on a billboard, I know Gordon McKernan can. So okay. All right, so that's our takeoff role for today. Very good. We have a very special guest today. He's the current sheriff of Point P Parish, doing a great job out there. Another one of these kind of little behind the scenes administrative jobs that you're not really aware of it's going on to something that goes wrong. Then it all comes into action and boom, it's all there.
Right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, who do we have today?
We have Bud Torres.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
It's good to be here.
I was glad to have you over here.
Yep.
You've been hitting the circuits. I know you've been on a lot of shows, a lot of talk shows, radio shows. You've been kind of hitting around. How is the pretty much the public sentiment when you're talking to people out there? What are you getting?
We feel confident that we have a lot of good support in the community, and the people of Point P on October the 12th will have to make a decision.
October 12th.
Right, Election Day, and
right.
We're hopeful that our record speaks for itself, and we've been here 12 years and on the job doing a good job, and hopefully that'll be enough to get us through.
We were talking about earlier about how every vote counts, right? Remember Lynette was
It
talking
does.
about that?
Yeah.
Every single vote counts. Don't think your vote don't count. I think early voting started recently, was it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Early
No.
voting starts on the 28th of September
Gotcha.
and goes through October the 5th.
Gotcha. All right,
And then
so-
Election Day will be October the 12th.
Which everybody
Very good.
knows LSU home games
I
October
know.
12th. So if you want to vote early, you better go.
That's important, right? Because that's going to keep a lot of voters home.
And really, it is important that people vote, because
Yes.
it does decide who sits in the positions and what decisions are made, and and pretty much what you want to see your community become or not. And
Right.
it's very, very important to vote. It's something that's a lot of countries and people don't have that right, and we have that right here in America.
Absolutely.
That's a good way to look at
Please
it.
don't take it for granted for sure.
Right.
So how many years have you been in office so far?
I've been in office 11 years. I'm running for my 4th term as
4
sheriff.
terms. Wow, congratulations on that. Very, very
Yeah.
good. So typically you see sheriffs running for long periods of time pretty much. I've never heard a sheriff running for 4 years and you never hear from him again, So, but that tells me two different things. One thing is that you're doing something right if you're in office for that long, right? And number two, it tells me that you're enjoying the job and you want to keep continuing what you're doing. Speak to that.
Well, it's been my life work. This year marks my 40th year in law enforcement.
Wow.
Starting my
Yes.
career in 1979. And, I know nothing else, and have been sheriff 11 years. And it's turned out to be my life work. It's a lot of things that require a lot of attention. It's a big job. It's burdensome.
Right.
It takes all of your energy and focus to do a good job with it, and it's something that I have found myself in this position, and really enjoy doing the work. But it's huge responsibility. And we take it very seriously.
Yes, you do. I
Yeah.
can tell, definitely. So answer me this. Let's go back to the early days, like when you were first reelected. When everybody runs for office, they expect to be elected. I don't care. They could have like just their mom and dad vote for them. I'm going to get elected. I know I am. So, of course, you were elected for the first time as sheriff. You woke up the next morning, the polls were in, Bud Torres as sheriff of Point P. Wow. How did that feel?
Well, it was a humbling experience. when you go through the electoral process, running for public office is a long, hard job. You talk to people. Some people tell you, you're doing a great job, we're going to vote for you. And some people tell you, I don't like you and I'm not going to vote for you.
Right to your face.
So there's a lot of rejection that you have to overcome. There's a lot of things that you go through in this electoral process. So the high-fiving and jumping around at the end of the day when the election's over with, you do to some degree and say, wow, we did pull it off and we did win. But there's a lot of, I guess you would say, melancholy feeling about, everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be popular. And everybody wants to feel that everyone agrees with what you're doing. And that's not the world we live in.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're ready for it to be over with. And I think the feeling was more relief and opening a new chapter in my life, going into that position.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Whenever you first became sheriff, there were a lot of things that were new to you because if you've never done it before, it's like I'm kind of learning as I go, so to speak. I've probably got a lot of good advice from friends as how to be a good sheriff, but you're learning as you go, developing your style of operating as a sheriff. Looking back at your career as sheriff these past 11 years, what were some of the most challenging things that you've come across that really, really gave you a run for your money?
Mm-hmm.
Well, certainly when you have the murders, those are the things that really affect you the most because you get emotionally involved in those cases and working with the detectives and trying to resolve those cases is huge.
There's a lot of pressure on you to do that too, right?
Yes, it is, but the pressure is mostly from myself because we have to get it right. We have to solve it. And we have to bring these people to justice.
Right.
And when that happens, it brings you to a whole nother zone, and it drives you to wake up and try and get this done.
Yes.
Right.
So the families are affected on both sides. It's just the most difficult thing that you do in a small community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the spotlight is on too, more so in a small community, because everybody knows everybody for sure. I remember when the West Baton Rouge deputy got shot and killed. It was horrible. I mean, everybody was holding back their tears for the press conference and everything. It was just horrible. I can't even imagine what you were going through. She was a West Baton Rouge deputy, but she kind of lived in Point Capee Parish. It was just.
Her husband was a friend of mine.
Right.
I knew the family. Everybody involved. I knew.
Right.
So that makes it very complicated. Makes it very hurtful, and a range of emotions that goes through the community. And as sheriff, you have to try and stay in a position where you give them the facts, you do your job, and that's it.
All right.
And that's very. You don't have the luxury of emotions.
Yes, that is the truth. Right. And you got to put a strong face on camera. When the camera turns on, you got to be there. That's a good quality of a leader. Is whenever you have a strong character and you're showing leadership skills in times of crisis.
Correct.
Is where it really, really comes through for sure. Any questions?
Well, you're kind of like the backbone of the parish, if you will.
True. Absolutely.
Got to stay strong.
Absolutely. Right. Very, very true. Very, very good. So, so that being said, and this is another thing I want to go over too. Whenever you're in a position of authority and you're in a high position like yourself, chief law enforcement officer of the parish, you set yourself up to take a lot of pot shots from different people, right? They're not in your position. They don't know why you make decisions that you make. They don't see the big picture. So kind of tell us a little bit about, you make decisions sometimes, which could be any decision, name a decision, that might not be popular with the people in the parish, but in your mind, you're making the right decision. Tell people the process that you come across to make hard decisions.
Well, the thing that you have to learn quickly is that you have to make the right decision for the right reason. And you have to do the right thing. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you have to do the right thing. Once you know, you have to act. Yes. And once you act, you have to make those decisions to hold people accountable.
Right.
And that is the hardest thing about this job. And every decision that we make or that I make, it affects a person's life.
Right.
Either their livelihood, their life on the outside, they're going to jail, or they're going to get fired, or, just a reprimand or whatever. It affects a person's life. And when you sit in that position, you just have to make those decisions. And the buck stops here. It stops with me. I can't punt it to someone else. I can't,
True, right.
Give it to another person to do. It's all mine.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I can remember we had a vehicle accident where, we didn't do a really good job at the scene. And, when the press came, I just said, hey, we made a mistake.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
We're going to fix it.
Yes.
And we're going to work through that process to get it done. And the fallout of that was negative in some areas, but positive in others. So,
sure.
There's good and bad in everything you do.
Right.
And there's also a silver lining in everything you do. But if you make the decisions based on the facts, and you make that decision for what's in the best interest of the department and the population at large, you're okay. And you have to keep it within the confines of the law,
yes,
which is sometimes very constrained. And you have to understand that this is what we are. We're a country of laws. The sheriff has to enforce those laws. So you have to be very specific when it comes down to making those decisions on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Right.
And that is the burden of this job.
Right. Yep. The sheriff position in general, whether it be Point Capite, West Baton Rouge, or anybody,
Right.
I don't care how big your parish is or small, the load is heavy.
Yes, it
It's
is.
very, very heavy. Yep. And congratulations and hats off to you for doing a great job and, to where you are today. So looking back, let's go over maybe some of the highlights of your career so far. It's been a lot happens in 11 years. Wow.
I think that the honeymoon that we had when I was first elected, that happened July 1st. I assumed the office. And then when we wound up in October, just 2 months later, we had Gustav hit Point Capite Parish.
Yeah,
Oh, what a way to start it off, huh?
Right. So we were just getting things moving and just kind of getting things off the ground. And then we hit with Gustav. And, really, I think it was one of the worst hurricane events we had in Point Capite Parish. And we had a lot of trees down. Lights were out for several days. We had flooding. We had all of the dynamics of a major disaster here. And we depended on, outside assistance from the National Guard and everyone else that came in to assist us. Sheriffs from other parishes sent deputies to assist us. And, at one point we had declared martial law. We had a curfew through the parish form of government, through the police jury. And we worked through all of those instances. I think one of the proudest moments was that when he had the assistance program for the food stamps and whatnot that was going around the state, they were having so much trouble with it that unruly crowds and everything else. It was really a lot of upheaval. And when they came to Point Capite, they said, hey, we're going to do this here. What's your plan? So we started working on that, and we really did a good job with it because we served lunch at lunchtime. We had enough water to where people had water. We got them out of the weather. I think that was one of the biggest problems in September and October. So hot.
Yes, it was.
And especially it seems like it's hotter after hurricanes for whatever reason.
Right. No electricity. Right.
And we were able to do that and have it where we had chairs in the multi-use center, and I thought that worked out really good.
Making everybody comfortable,
right,
in a stressful situation.
And we didn't have any problems, so I thought that was a really good.
Yes.
It showed me two things: one, we did it right, but the second thing, the quality of the people in Point Capite Parish.
Yes.
So we didn't have some of the issues that everyone else had. But those were some really incredible moments. It taught me a lot. But being a trooper and being involved in hurricane recovery and in other areas, I had an idea what it was supposed to look like. But being responsible for it all happening was important, and to pull that off. And then you look at one of the biggest high points is working with Garrett Graves and John Bell Edwards to get the Pecan East, Pecan West subdivision relocated. That has been, And really, when Gustav came, it really brought it to the forefront. It was flooded. It's probably some of the worst flooding that subdivision ever had.
Yes.
And then to work through that whole process, and then last week go to the Civic Center and see the rendition for the relocation.
Yes,
I thought
amazing.
it was just a beautiful little community. They have a really good plan. I hope that the residents understand that, this is a great option for them. No one wants to leave their home, but, we have to do something in that situation because that area is prone to flooding. And to bring that to the forefront and being a part of that, I thought was really huge.
Yes.
But there's a lot of things that we've done, improving the infrastructure for the police as far as communications and all the different things we've done. I think that those things are some of the high points in my career.
Yes, cool. It is. I was able to go to the first meeting for the Pecan Acres thing. I missed the second one and everything, but when I was listening to the speakers saying what all they were getting accomplished, I'm going like, this cannot be true. This is like too good to be true. That these things are actually happening for these people. How in the world did you pull this off?
It's neat. It is thoughtful too.
I think it's a collaborated effort.
Yeah.
When you have the government is very interesting. Our founding fathers had a very great, grand idea of how this is supposed to work, but it only works when everybody works together.
Yes.
And I think that's the key ingredient that as a government official, my ability to work with my cohorts is the quintessential piece to the success of the community. And I think that anyone elected to office, the voting public looks at that candidate and says, we're going to vote for him, and I hope he works with everybody else. And I think that's the most important piece.
Absolutely. It sounds great. And like you alluded to earlier, it's not a one-man show. It's a team effort no matter what you do, especially in government and everything. So take us back also, whenever you came and started the office from scratch, you kind of rebuilt some stuff and everything, readjusted some parameters and everything. Tell us about the team that you assembled, because you have a lot of people on your team and everything. Tell us about the team that you assembled and what qualities you look for, because we all know that you have a very strong business background also with the Beauregards and construction, stuff like that. So you hire good workers in a private business. You hire a good team in your office.
We brought some people in when we were going through the process. We kept pretty much everybody that was in the previous administration. And, there's not that many people that want to be police officers to start with. So if you have someone that is devout and wants to do this job and is serious about doing the job, don't run them off. So that was one of the first things that I looked at. And as we started down this road, we had the infrastructure or the design of the rank and file and supervision, which is something that is pretty flatline that we have, and it made it cohesive. Then when you draw the parameters of go out and do your job, do the right thing the right way for the right reason, is the philosophy of our department, then it makes it easier, because and I have friends and family that drive and go out and live in the community and everything else, and when the deputies show up, I pray that they do the right thing. And I tell everybody, listen to what the deputy is telling you. If he's going to go through this process, he's there, boots on the ground, making those decisions. And that's different than some departments. But this department is that the deputies are trained, they have the equipment to do the job, work with them, they're going to make the right decision.
Yes. That's awesome.
May not like the decision.
True.
But they're going to make the best decision they can on the facts.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you being true to your beliefs and everything, no matter what people perceive, but you're doing the right thing. That is awesome. Yeah. It's like being a strong dad or whatever. The little kids might not always like dad's decision, but it's the right decision. He sees the big picture.
Moms either.
Well, moms too, right? Dads are generally more
tough
forgiving
job,
than moms.
Yeah,
right.
Being a parent's a tough job.
Right. I see. I was giving your kid popcorn earlier today, and you telling him not to get out the microwave.
Because I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Right.
He was going to burn it.
Exactly.
And he did.
Hey, he's learning. Now he knows what not to do. But anyway,
burn the house down.
One thing that I've noticed about your administration and the way that you run things is that you're not just a sheriff, but you get yourself out into all areas of the community, and the list is long. And so it's like, it seems to me that that's a genuine care for your community and the community we live in. I guess one example would be like, say, the Port Authority Commission or whatever. I don't know if that's something that you just, because you have a background in water and stuff like that, but it's something I saw that you kind of stepped up to the bat or whatever and had a thing in that.
what we have to do as a community is evolve. And we're primarily, our bread and butter, our backbone of our economic system here in Point Coupee Parish is agriculture. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, we need to look at all the other things that we have that we can develop in a positive way. And I think working with, economic development, tourism, and all of the things that make Point Coupee unique, we're surrounded by water.
Yes,
the Mississippi, the Chaffalaya River on both borders. We have 156 miles of coastline in Point Coupee and 500 square miles of territory.
Wow.
So we have to do more. And I see this as an opportunity for someone who may not want to be a farmer or wants to work in the community in a different way. And looking at those opportunities with the Mississippi River, the Port of Point Coupee, the Port of Greater Baton Rouge, two of the strongest economic engines in America are the railroad and our port systems.
Yes.
It's two things that we understand as a capitalist country.
Yes, transportation vehicles.
That's right. As a capitalist country, we look at that and we understand what it means to us economically. And I think that we as a community, as a parish, we have to look at that too. What can we do to fit into the footprint of the economic Greater Baton Rouge area to where we can produce jobs, infrastructure, and all those things that make a community thrive. And I have to tell you, anything I can do to further that or work with parish government or push us down the road to be successful is where we need to try and be. And I think all of the leaders from, senator, state representative, everybody has a dog in the fight in Point Coupee Parish or represents this area, should think like that. And we do. And we are assembling that team now, that we all have the same or like interests to push Point Coupee forward.
Yes, very, very good. We talked about Lindell earlier in her position that she's been there for so long and everything, and there's still things that she wants to get done, and there will always probably be things she wants to get done. What are some unfulfilled goals that you might have?
Well, I think the first thing is trying to set the infrastructure in the sheriff's office so that my successor down the road won't have to inherit the problems that we have.
Right.
I think that one of the things that we have or have done historically is rent space for the sheriff's office and for parish government. I think it's time to invest in our infrastructure. And I think it's time that we have our own facilities and not pay rent. It's something that at the time years ago, technology was not that specific. Regulations weren't that stringent. So people could actually use any building or whatever to do their bidding.
Right.
So I get it where renting was practical then. But now when you start working with a detective office, a maintenance barn, and we have a lot of equipment and things that we have bought over the years through federal grants to have the emergency services equipment that we have in the sheriff's office. And we have to care for it and to properly secure it, you have to have the adequate space to do so. So we're looking down the road to set the stage for the infrastructure where the sheriff's office has and owns its own equipment and facilities.
Yes.
Working with the parish government. The Constitution of Louisiana is very specific, and state law is very specific when it says the relationship. It kind of writes down just what that relationship is between parish government and the sheriff, those relationships. So now that we have the new form of government, it's a good chance for us to set the stage for the future of Point Coupee. We're gonna do that great blueprint so that we can set things up to where it'll be right. The parish owns the jail, but the sheriff runs the jail. There's a lot of argument back and forth. Not every parish is the same. So we have to work out those details. Now I have partners with the new form of government, and we're all committed to sitting at the table and working out those details so that we can set the stage for future success. And that is what the unfinished business that I have is, trying to get those things in place.
Yes.
And working out those details with parish government, helping them usher themselves into their own right.
Yes.
And then to make the sheriff's office that augmenting piece to support and work with them in a very meaningful way. Mm-hmm. And I think that relationship, that correlation is something that I want to see complete before I walk out of here.
In your opinion, is that doable?
I think it is. I think that parish government has some constraints with the way their budget is designed, because a lot of the funds that is received by the parish form of government is earmarked specifically to different things, and that doesn't always work out.
Right.
I think you have to have some latitude to move funds around to where you need them to get things done, and I think you have to be transparent with the public so they understand where you're marching and where you're trying to go.
Right.
And that's the critical part. That's the delicate balance. That's the politics of, being sheriff and having people understand what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. That's great. You kind of jumped the gun on me with one of your things. You just mentioned the jail. I wrote that down just before you mentioned it. I want to talk a little bit about our jail system in Point Covey Parish right now, and kind of how it's set up. Like you said, you already told us the police jury or that
parish
part,
government.
The parish government now owns that, but the sheriff's office. How does that work?
Well, every parish has its own system or understanding or interpretation of that. But basically the way it works is that the parish owns the facility. They're responsible for that facility being maintained and being functional. I am responsible for, and the Constitution was really explicit. So I imagine when they wrote this law, every law is written from a bad experience.
True.
But this was specifically. So I read this in the statute where it says that the sheriff shall operate the jail and feed the prisoners.
Interesting. Okay.
I thought that was very important.
Right.
And then it also goes further to say that, and it's all subject to interpretation. I mean,
right.
Any law that's written, there's one attorney will tell you it means this, and the other one will tell you no,
right.
it means totally the opposite. But from my interpretation of that is that when you have the law says that the sheriff will feed and care for the inmates and everything else, but the other part of that is where it's important to understand that with the inmates is that you have to have them cared for. And I thought that was important.
Right, absolutely. So that's pretty cool. I used to work at the jail. My very first job after I got out of high school was with Preston Shoots in the jail as a dispatcher.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you were a dispatcher at the...
Yep, sure were.
That was all in one place.
Yeah, John Boudreaux, Steve Jude was on my shift. I dispatched him. It was a long time ago. Mark Mix, he was on my shift.
That's been a while.
John Cannon was another one on my shift. Yeah, we had a great time out there. Willie Holan, all those guys. Jerome Fontenot. A lot of fun. The only reason I really quit the sheriff's office early is because I wanted to be an EMT, and they couldn't work my schedule to go to school and work.
But that was your passion.
Yes,
I mean,
it was.
early on, you were always interested in that.
I really had a deep love of radios. That's why I got my ham radio license. So being a dispatcher, I was just fascinated with all the different frequencies, 39.5 and everything. It was really cool. So I actually started off as a jail guard, and then I got promoted to dispatcher after that. So I did work in the jail for about 6 months back then, and so I learned a lot. We had the Cubans or whatever on one side, the Americans on the other side, and so Dune actually, Lester Gyro and I first started Man Web. We all started together.
Wow,
it was really, really cool.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time, yes.
They've all been there 30 years. So
yep.
That would be 30 years ago.
Yes, indeed. That's amazing. So I kind of see...
you could be retired right now.
I know I could, really. I got 9 more years with Acadian.
I would have been retired.
I'm going to stick it out.
Yeah.
I want to stick it out. So that's why the jail has always really fascinated me and everything. And it's I kind of have a special heart toward jail guards and even inmates and prisoners and everything, because you want to see them get back on their feet. They're not going to be there forever,
Well, and that's very important. At the parish level, we have a lot of the inmates in Louisiana that's reintroduced into society come out of the parish jails.
Right.
And that's important. And if you don't have the training and skill level for them to re-enter into the community,
yes,
then you haven't done anything. You just put them in timeout for whatever time they were there. So I think those are some of the things, and a lot of the things that we do at the jail. By offering a GED program.
Great.
for the inmates, the ones that didn't finish high school. We always tell them, take this time to try and get your life going the right way.
Yes, what a great time to do it, yes.
We also have, over 15 ministers.
I was about to ask that.
That come into the jail.
Right.
And, we have the only freestanding chapel on a parish facility.
Really? That's
cool.
And we've done that through private donations. It was an old potato shed that they had. It was functional at one time, and then they used it for work release inmates for overflow. And it was pretty much abandoned, but we went in and we got some donations from the public, and we renovated. So we use it as our training facility.
Great, yeah.
And our chapel. So all of the ministers that come to the jail to minister, the inmates have an opportunity to get out of their cell, go into a chapel, and sit there and listen to the Word of God.
That's
I think
awesome.
I think it's very important.
Yes.
And then also the educational programs that we have there. We also have that located in that facility. And I think that's huge for someone that's in jail. Keeping them locked up, feeding them bread and water is not the answer. We have to change their direction. And education doesn't hurt. And also get them closer to God or reconnecting with God, in a religious way where they can go into a church when they leave. It gives them some direction. And I think that's something that I feel, if we could expand upon or do more with, is something that would be beneficial to us.
What's the story behind Potato Shed? I'm curious.
Well, they had an agricultural process, and they used it to store potatoes and onions and different things there that they grow on the facility that they use inside the facility. So it's a way of having the inmates engage in some outdoor activity that's positive, and the benefit is that they use it inside the facility.
That's pretty cool.
That is very, very cool. Yeah, I love it.
I had to ask. I'm sorry.
Not to be confused with Joe Bo's Potato Shed, which is in Morganza. So.
Right.
I got to see a potato shed.
Right. Well, so our church actually is one of the 15 outreaches that go out there. We're actually going to be doing a little promo video coming out, and we got permission with the warden to come in there and do that. Not show the inmates' faces or anything, but kind of like show what we do. And so, yes, they were very responsive to it. I think a lot of them are severe. They're interested in it, and they are sincere. There are the church house religion people out there. There are always going to be those, but I think a lot of people really are seeking some serious stuff to try to get their life back on track.
End times are coming.
When you find yourself, when you wind up in jail, and something has happened in your life, you made a bad decision, or you find yourself there, it's a time of reflection. It's time to sit in there and think about what you've done and how can you change that. And by being, and the warden does a wonderful job with his interaction.
And who is the warden now?
Stephen Juge is the warden.
Okay, yeah.
The guy you started with 30 years ago is now the warden out there.
Could be retired right now.
And he does a great job. And Man Webb is also the assistant warden.
Veteran employee.
Brent Plochet is
one.
the security officer. So that's the staff.
And how are those guys doing now?
They're doing good.
Great.
I think we've had, it's about relationships. It's about taking a guy that comes into the facility and getting him to understand that, hey, you've got to do time somewhere. And our facility is clean, it's run right, and you have, we don't have any violence or any problems like that. So we try to explain to them, look, you need to pay attention to what you're doing. And one of the things that we did is by being DOC certified, a state inmate that's in our facility actually earns the same good time as if he was in a state facility. And it really takes away a lot of the problems that you have because we can reprimand those inmates. We don't have as many state inmates as we used to because we have more waiting for pretrial.
How long do you have? How long is what's the most one of them would stay in?
Well, it all depends. We have some people in there for murder that are waiting trial. So that's a pretrial inmate. That is a parish inmate. So they're waiting for their court date, which could be as long as a year or so.
Oh, wow.
So if their bond is such that they can't make it, then they stay in the facility until their trial date.
It's kind of a starter prison or jail?
Well, it's a condition of your bond. If you can't meet bond to be released out on the street until your court date, you're remanded in the jail until you go to trial. Then we have a DOC inmate, which is a state inmate. This is a person that's been adjudicated. They have gone through the process. They were in front of the judge, and the judge found them guilty of the crime they committed, and then they're put into the facility. And then when we have vacancies where we don't have enough state inmates to fill our needs or fill the beds that we have, we'll take on a state inmate to put in our facility at a fee, and the state pays us $24 a day to keep those inmates for them. So it's not enough money to actually offset his stay. But if you're looking at empty beds in the facility, it does help defer some of the operating costs of the jail. So it's a business. It's a business. It's a the business of running the jail is a business like any other, and we have to try and run it as such. And if you got an opportunity to pick up a few dollars with the state inmate to offset some of the costs that we have incurred, the parish is incurring, then we try to do that.
That is a good idea.
So what is the main portion of funding for the jail? Is it taxpayer dollars? Or how does it work?
Absolutely. In 1988, there was a tax passed in Point Coupee Parish to actually fund the new jail. The new jail is over 30 years old.
Right. Like a new bridge,
But the old jail was above the actual courthouse.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And it was antiquated. I think it could hold like 20 people in it.
That's not many.
And we outgrew it. And it would just came a point in time we were, overcrowded and all the different things, and actually came a point in time where we had to build this new facility. And it was chosen. That was under Sheriff Preston Shoes' term. And the police jury and the sheriff, they worked together to figure out where they were going to put it, and they purchased the property out there by the San Francisville Ferry, and the new jail was built. And it was it holds up to 200 people now.
Wow.
And so it's a bigger facility, but we're holding about 80 to 90 inmates that we have on pretrial. So half our capacity.
Right. Very, very interesting.
Y'all need a headquarters.
Headquarters? Well, they do have a headquarters.
Like, a nice big 4-story building just.
Right. Your headquarters is in Morgan's, I guess.
All of that costs money.
I know.
Yes,
all of that costs money, and and when you're talking to the taxpayers, about building a new bridge or building a new highway or 4-laning something where you're sitting in traffic every day.
I think after the last traffic accidents we've been having, that's a welcome thing.
They get that, but when you start talking about a jail, your hard-earned money is going to that. It's not as easy of a sell, and I get that. So we're trying to work within what we have to do the best job that we can, to keep everything going.
That's pretty cool, though.
It is. I always had a fascination with the jail because I have a lot of experience working. My aunt, Betty Laurent, she was a dispatcher for many years. Mr. Wallace was a dispatcher.
It's like a family thing.
Right, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, it's
a lot of fun. So we got our jail stuff wrapped up and everything. So in a day of technology that we live in, I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about some assets that the sheriff's office has that people might not be aware of, as far as what kind of computer systems you're running, what kind of vehicles do you have. What kind of technology are you using right now to fight crime?
Are you prepared for cyber attacks?
Cyber attacks is another big
bullying
thing.
too. It's all bad.
True. Those guys go to jail.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your equipment and stuff like that.
The first thing we did when we came in was the communication system that we had was a standalone system, which meant that we could only talk to ourselves, and it was only within the one tower that we had to operate from. So the communications was intermittent throughout the parish, and it was some parts of the parish had dead zones. So we had some difficulty with all of that.
Yes.
So
that's a major problem, really, when you look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we had a situation where we have the communications district in 911, which involves all first responders, fire, emergency services, and local municipal policing and the sheriff's office. And we made a decision that we were going to migrate to the Elwin system, which is the state-operated communication system.
Which Acadian is on to, Acadian Ambulance.
Which they have a whole network of towers throughout the state of Louisiana which if you're a member of it and you're on that system, you can actually talk anywhere in the state.
Wildlife and fisheries too, huh?
That's confusing though.
Well, but it works.
Yeah.
It works. It's a very integral network, but it does work, and it works well. And, for example, if my deputies are making a medical transport or a prisoner transport to Monroe, and they want to call headquarters, well, they just dial in Point Copee's number, and they can call, and they can talk to dispatch in Morganza,
amazing.
as if they were in Point Copee or around the corner, so to speak. So that increased our ability to communicate. We took all of the federal funds that we had for several years to actually do that. To buy the radio equipment.
Yeah, it took a little while to
do
that.
the things. Yeah, it was a migration process before we actually flipped the switch. But it was something done with a partnership with everybody involved. Couldn't have done it by myself. I sit on the board and I'm in the communications board, but I have to work with all of my partners to make sure that we were going the right way. And everybody bought in, and we were able to get some federal funds collectively to put this system up.
Let me stop you real quick. Are there still some parishes that are still in the dark ages?
I think there's 2 or 3 that still have standalone systems that are not part of the Elwyn system.
They're scared to forward to the technology stuff.
Or money.
Yeah, well, that too.
Well, we were fortunate in that, post-Gustav, we were able to get some funds.
Great.
That we were able to build that infrastructure.
Yes.
Some of the reinvestment after Gustav, we were able to do the tower in Livonia. That's another big piece. That was something that was a high watermark on the board as far as getting that done, and then negotiating the deal with the state police to put the equipment on the tower. So it was a collaborated effort. We provided the structure, they provided the equipment. We paid for several satellite tower systems for their upgrades to accommodate our radio communications. And it was a sell for the state that they only had one tower in Rama.
Wow.
Rama.
Really between
neck of the woods.
Hey, my neck of the woods, Rama.
between Lafayette and Baton Rouge. So when we put it on the grid that, hey, we want to put an additional tower in Livonia, then that made made good sense to them to have the redundancy that if the tower in Raymond went down, we'd have the Livonia tower to keep that I-10 corridor and US 190 corridor with the communications they needed.
Oh, yeah.
So is that sort of thing that we were able to put on the drawing board that really made sense, and we've been able to do that.
Yes.
We have our communications district where the sheriff's office provides the dispatching for all agencies in the parish. For Acadian, we do the one-button transfer to your dispatching.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, it is.
For the municipalities and the fire, we dispatch for them, and every agency contributes to that, based on their prorated share.
Yes.
And that has been a coalition that we've had running now for 11 years, and I have to applaud them that, we don't have a whole lot of redundancy in Point Copee, and we actually looked at from Iberville was one that came up to study how we did it, because they have about 7 or 8 separate dispatching centers in Iberville Parish.
Wow, really? Jeez,
so,
man. Yeah.
So we're kind of unique to, we've consolidated that and reduced the cost of it to the agencies involved. So, I think it's a better system, and I think we got it right. And it's something that I'm proud of, and the coalition that we built between fire and police and emergency services is really good.
Yeah.
Cool.
And communication is the key for sure. Definitely. So that's one part of the thing is the 911 system. You got all that stuff up and running again. Is there a 911 tax that's still going out on your bill, your phone bill or anything?
It is on your phone bill, yes.
So people out there, don't complain about that, because that's going to very needed services.
Yes, it is. And the other thing is that, the way that statute was written is that, people in Baton Rouge, it goes domiciliary. In other words, if you live in East Baton Rouge and you pay your phone bill, then that's where the tax goes. But the problem is a lot of people that live in Baton Rouge commute and travel in Point Copee Parish. So, we don't get any tax benefit from that. And my argument is that, it should be based on your coverage area.
Yes.
And some of those funds should be shared, because our numbers being 20,000, Baton Rouge being 600,000 people.
Right.
You can see that they have more money than they know what to do with.
Right.
But yet we struggle here with the amount of money we collect for the 911 surcharges and taxes. But the thing of it is, a lot of the Baton Rouge people, they don't just stay in East Baton Rouge Parish. They're riding around and everything else. So that additional communications piece is something that, I brought to the attention of our legislators. And it's something that is starting to take a little bit of a hold, because we have to look at regional concepts, because we're part of the greater Baton Rouge area. People traverse and travel on our roads going to and from Baton Rouge. So it makes sense that we need to look at these things differently.
Right.
Okay, what about people that have cell phones and their numbers are Baton Rouge cell phone numbers? Would that go to them, or would that come here?
Those taxes go to East Baton Rouge Parish.
No way.
And that's the billing address, I would think, right?
Correct.
The billing address.
Okay, so
Right.
it's based on that.
That's how it's
Right.
based right now.
Okay.
But my argument is that, all of the people that are in Baton Rouge or around Baton Rouge traveling out here, it creates more activity and more work for us. And we provide the
right.
services
That's
in
what
our
you're saying.
communications area.
Yes, right.
But we're a rural parish with low numbers, so to speak, as far comparably 20,000 to 600,000. It's disproportionate, because we're expected, when a person from Baton Rouge is on Falls River at LA1 and they hit 911, they expect the same level of services.
Yeah,
True,
especially with
right.
all this traffic we've been having lately.
That's true. That's
Absolutely.
right.
We need to get some business
And
going with that.
think when something goes down in Rame or I-10, Whiskey Bay, everybody's diverted 190 through it, and then our workload increases exponentially.
Or as of late, LA1.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
No, it's really taxing for manpower and everything else.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because everybody's got to be out there. You got to tell people where to go, because people are Googling GPS in places they've never been before, and it gets very hectic.
It does.
It
Right.
does.
Right. Yes, it does. So as far as any other technological advances the department has that you want to talk about?
Well, the one thing that we did when we first came in was we redid the way we actually produce our reports. They were done paper, handwritten reports and everything else. We were able to purchase a CAD system
I've heard about that.
and actually have that online, to where everything is computerized.
Yep.
And all of our systems are digitized.
Awesome.
We even have where the deputies have the onboard scanners in their vehicles.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So
Really.
when you write a handwritten report, we're able to scan it into the system.
Yeah.
So
very good.
we captured that information.
Perfect.
Print the tickets out before you even get time to say, I know who he is. I get this fixed.
Right.
Well,
Too late. Sorry, print it. You're done.
so we did that, and I think that has gone a long way in changing the dynamics.
Yes, it's almost a standard
cool.
now.
For report writing and providing and recording the information as it happens. That is one of the, I guess, one of the best accomplishments that we have done, and I think it's something that has served us very well. Also, we've computerized all warrants for wanted persons, so that information is at the fingertips of the dispatchers or the deputies that are out there.
Yes,
They have an
great.
That's neat.
onboard laptop computer on each vehicle, so they can call it in or they can run it themselves.
Wow.
They have the ability to type in their reports on board, and all of these things are just technologically advanced for a parish our size, and it allows the deputies to be able to do a greater volume of work, more efficiently.
Speed the process,
Yeah,
too.
right. And
That's
it
cool.
takes a lot of workload off the dispatchers when they can run their own stuff and everything.
To some degree,
Yeah.
and it depends on the volume. We still, we still go by the old standard of communicating through dispatch, on the radio, which is our official record.
Right.
Yeah.
But as they're working through stuff, they're able to go to the computer and do some things there. So
Right.
it's a blending of things, but it was a step up for us as far as recording information, housing information. That is one of the big things.
A lot of people are getting into the CAD system.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people are transitioning to it.
Yes, it is. It's almost becoming a standard right now. It has to be the standard.
Well, it's
new
awesome.
standard.
I mean, some of the stuff it offers is just really cool.
Yes, it is. Right. And so Timmy's saying we got 5 minutes left, so that's really cool. I have to ask you this while I got you here, and let me know what your thoughts on this are.
Think hard.
We discussed it with Stephen Poirier. He's our resident law enforcement expert when it comes to questions and everything. So a while back, if you remember, we had the big thing going on about the traffic cameras. They want to put a camera on the side of the road in Livonia. We were discussing the legal aspects of due process. When you're flying by a car and it takes a picture of you, an out-of-state company is issuing you a ticket in your parish, but there's no human being involved in the process. What are your thoughts on that? Because it got struck down from what I understand.
That's a Privacy Act law.
Right. So
I'm
kind of wondering what your pros, cons, what's your opinion on that?
State law says that to be issued or to be charged in the state of Louisiana has to be done by an officer with an affidavit.
Okay.
That piece of paper
The
with
citation,
the ticket.
yep.
So that affidavit has to be issued. When you use the poll cameras or the traffic devices that they have that are doing that in, say, Baker or whatever,
right?
What they're doing is that is an administrative penalty.
Okay.
It's not actually
interesting. Okay.
a charge.
So what's the difference? The administrative.
Well, if you're issued a speeding ticket for speeding in Louisiana by a deputy and you fail to appear in court, then the judge puts a warrant out for your arrest and you physically be arrested and put in jail. If you fail to pay the citation issued by this administrative system, then it will go to a collection agency.
So I got you. Hit you in the
So
pocketbook.
it's not in the court system.
Got it.
So it's been an arguable point for many years. I don't agree with that system personally.
Right, neither do we.
And I think it's something that has come along to help jurisdictions increase their revenue.
Right.
But as far as effectively administering the law, it doesn't meet the standard.
Right.
Because it takes a duly sworn officer to issue an affidavit for a violation of a crime.
Right.
And
right.
Then your due process to go to court and to plead your case is all intact.
Right.
This is an administrative process and has nothing to do with the official judicial process.
Interesting.
New Orleans just had that on the news.
Really?
They're having to pay people back for the red light cameras.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Like
yes,
millions of dollars.
I remember that, yes.
So obviously it's flawed.
Right. Somebody came and found out the little flaw in the system.
Well, for one thing, if you're taking pictures of a plate, you could have a Texas plate with the same sequence as Louisiana's, alpha characters, numbers at the end, or vice versa.
So it doesn't see the state; it just sees the numbers.
It just sees the numbers. So it sends these people these statements with the picture of the plate,
From
no matter what
state.
state. It says you owe this amount of money. You have to pay it within so many days, and you pay it. It's not even your plate.
Right.
So it doesn't depict the states.
Right. So that's one little flaw in the system right there.
That's a huge flaw.
Yeah. Right. Because now you violate people's amendment rights and everything like you were saying. Right. Exactly. Very good. So we just want to get your take on that. So we agree with you on that. We're with you on that for sure. Let's wrap it up. Any closing comments you want to make before we get out of here?
No, we're just out there talking to people. We want to.
Good deal.
We want to. Looking forward to getting reelected on October the 12th and finishing up what we started out to do. I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing from people and, just proud to serve. I mean, it's been my life work. Wound up in this at a very young age, wanted to do this type of work and was fortunate enough to do so. And it's been, an honor and a privilege to do it. And we're asking for another 4 years to finish what we started out to do. I think our communities are safe. I think that we're in a position to, just keep tweaking what we're doing, getting better at what we do. I have a good staff and a good group of guys and girls that are out there working every day to serve you, and we just want to continue that.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, and we always ask, will you come back again later on?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be here for the party.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yay.
For the 50th show.
Yes. Awesome.
Going to sing for us, huh?
And sing for us too, right?
Yeah, we can do.
Bud's in the house.
There you go. We'll be here.
Excellent. Sounds great. Well, so yeah, before we leave, we go ahead and pitch our media advertiser partners. With us.
We got pointcoupee-reporter.com, which you can look it up, look at all the great news and gossip they have listed on there. And then we have the Point Coupee banner. Mm-hmm. You can get one of those at your local retailers. They have some awesome stuff, and they are in color.
Yes, they are.
And they're still paper.
And it's something you can touch.
Touch it. Right. Feel it. Smell it.
Exactly.
Smells really cool.
And while you're out and about, show them the poster they need to be looking for.
Check out the poster and the billboard on Hospital Road.
That's it. Right. And that's right. And that tells you to tune into the Dave K Show.
Yep. Billboard runs every other week.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And we'll have our next billboard coming up next week also. Yep. So, all right. Well, sounds great. Well, for Datha B and Sheriff Bud Torres, I'm Dave K. Gyro, and we'll see you on the next show. Y'all take it easy.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.